Hi, I'm Andrew Berry and welcome. We've just had a delivery the other day. It arrived on a pallet outside our shop. It was a pallet full of tools and equipment from Durston, the world-renowned company for making rolling mills, and now they are also producing other pieces of equipment for the jeweler as well. And what I have down by my feet here is one of their deluxe jewelers benches. As you can see, we haven't assembled it yet. That is what we're going to be covering in this film. It arrives ready assembled. The top portion here arrives exactly as you see here, and also by the side of us we've got the sides that goes on, and there's a back rail as well, so it comes fully assembled. It is heavy, and when I say it's heavy, it is that heavy that it's a struggle for two people just to carry this top section, which when it comes to a jewellery bench is really, really important. If you have anything that is too thin, too flexible, too flimsy, it's going to move about and it's not going to produce the best quality work. This I will describe in a little bit more detail a little bit further on, as when we've put it together, is an absolute fantastically heavy, sturdy bench. As you can see, it's got the drawers down here, it's got the various drawers down here, the lemel tray and so forth, which I'm going to come to in just a little moment. Now, this bench comes in a huge box. It comes on a pallet. So if you're thinking of buying one of these benches, please consider where it is going to be delivered to and where you need to move this bench to, because it is flipping heavy. It took two of us to try and get this up the stairs, and even then we struggled. So in the box, huge box, comes this top section that's already assembled. We've got this piece of wood here. This is the part that fits down in front of the tray down there. We've also got two legs, one for either side, and a back rail. It also comes with really good detailed instructions and a bag of all the necessary bolts, the washers, the nuts. The only thing that you have to supply is a screwdriver. So first of all, we need to make this top bench, this top section here, lighter than what it is, because we need to maneuver it and turn it over to enable us to attach the legs onto it. To do that, we need to remove these removable drawers, the tray, the lemel tray, the soldering station, and also these drawers on the right hand side as well. Once you have done that, the bench is a little bit lighter. We need to turn it over upside down. Now with the bench upside down, time to put on the sides and the back rail. There are obviously two sides. On the sides we've got, these are upside down, but on one side here, this is the bottom rail, we've got no holes. There's holes on this side here. This is where the back rail is to go on. Those holes need to go at the back of the unit. So put this onto the back. We've got a bag of 8 bolts. You need 4 for each side. Also within that bag, you've got a bag of 8 washers. They are 6mm holes, which you use to put onto the bolts first of all, and they just simply go through the holes and into the captive nuts that are held into the end pieces. Do them hand tight to start off with. Once you've got that nicely hand tight, then you can get your screwdriver to tighten them up. And once you have put them all into place nicely finger tight, grab your screwdriver, tighten them up nicely, as tight as you can. And then once you've done that to the other side, go to the other side of the bench and do exactly the same thing over there. With the ends the legs in place, it's time to put on the cross rail that goes across the back. This is the cross rail here. It's got these two holes on either end. They are to put in small little nuts that enable it to screw into the legs here. In the pack, we've got 4 of those, these little round things. And they go into the holes. Now also onto the end of the wood, there's holes going through this way. So we need to make sure that when these go into the holes that go through the metal, the threaded part runs horizontal. So when the bolt goes in through this end, it'll go directly into the nuts. And then likewise, exactly the same way, a packet of 4 bolts. These are larger 8mm bolts. You've got a pack of 4 washers, 8mm diameter. The washers go onto those bolts. The bolts are then passed through the legs on the sides here. As you can see, we have the nuts that go in here. That will just go into place. These go in, and again, we simply hand tighten these up. And again, the same at the other end. And then likewise, we use the screwdriver to tighten them up. Right, with that all done, you may need a little bit of hand turning this over because it is really, really heavy. So to avoid injury, get your mate, get your husband, get your wife, whoever, just to help you turn this over. Okay. Take it down on the floor. That's it. Cool, thank you. The last bit of construction is the Lemel tray that goes underneath. We've got 4 more bolts left. We need to remove the plastic, take out the metal tray, and also the tray is nicely lined as well, and on the inside we've got 4 more holes. The 4 bolts locate this large semicircular piece of wood, and again pop them through finger tight and screw them into place. And then tighten up the 4 bolts . Then once you've done that, get your tray, put it back into place, and then we're ready to put all the drawers and everything back into place. We're going to start by putting the bench peg into place first of all. Now, before you actually fit it into your bench, or at least the first thing that you should do before you start work, is to cut a small little V into the front of the peg, very similar to what I've done on this one here. This enables then the future work to gain a lot more stability with the pieces that you're working on. You can do that straight away now, which would be a lot easier, or once it's in place you can use your piercing saw to cut that little section out the front. It's entirely up to you. There is one thing that I would like to say with the bench, as brilliant as it is, when this peg goes into place, it is obviously very loose, and we need a way of fastening this peg into place. Now, what I would advise you do is to drill a small little hole, perhaps 1 or 2 holes underneath the bottom of this piece of wood here, just to enable you to put perhaps 1 screw or 2 screws up to fasten into the peg. That way it's going to hold that peg nice and steady. You cannot work with a peg that is as loose as that. There's not even much point trying to jam it into place. So drill 2 pilot holes underneath this section of this bench here. Then when you put the peg into place, you can screw up to hold that peg nice and secure. Do it now, do it first, because you've got the full depth to play around here to get your drill and your screwdriver. Do it afterwards and all the drawers are going to be in place and you're not going to be able to do it. So just remember, that is what you need to do. I'll just leave that in place for now. Next thing you want to put in is the soldering tray. This is really more of like an optional extra. For me personally, I don't solder in the front here. Also, when this is in place, the peg does get in the way if you want to solder on this tray here. Personally, I wouldn't use this to solder on. I would simply take out the soldering mat and use this as another little tray to keep some tweezers on or anything that could be heated that may damage the bench, and I would simply use the soldering pad on the bench to protect it, or even not even solder anywhere near this bench, perhaps have a different soldering station. But I'll just pop that back into place for now, and that pushes neatly out of the way. We'll put in the other drawer. Again, this drawer is nicely lined, nicely soft. That will go into place here as well. All pushes out of the way. Next of all, we're going to put in a tray. There's a tray that fits into the top level here, and that has a nice semicircular recess at the front, so it fits around your belly. It's also got a little hole upon the bottom that enables you to pull it in and out. This is ideal if you want to do some sketching or some drawing, or you want to do some laying out, or even if you want to use sort of like some precious metal clay and that's the sort of thing that you're using. Very, very handy. Again, that pushes completely out of the way. Last but not least, for the trays is your Lemel tray. This just slots in underneath, pushes completely out of the way. It's metal lined, which means that anything that should happen to fall off the bench that is hot, perhaps you're soldering onto the soldering tray, if it falls into the tray here, it's not going to damage it. Also, this is ideal because when you're sawing and you're filing, all your bits of Lemel, those little bits of filings of precious metals, will get trapped nice and safely in this little tin. You can sweep it out to the ends of the night, keep all your Lemel nice and safe. If you don't want the Lemel tray, that's fine. You can take that out, put that to one side, and you've got the drawer that is nicely lined. Nice, easy and simple. Then we can put our little drawers in on the side. Again, these are all nicely lined. Just one more thing I have forgotten. We've also got these extra pieces of wood. Now, because the bench has quite a shallow semicircular cutout here, sometimes you need support for your elbows. Now, this is where these extra pieces of wood come in handy. They are angled on the top, and underneath you've got a little recess that you can use to pull them out. That one will go in this side, and that one will go in this side. And again, they push out of the way, so when you're working, you can bring these out to rest your elbows on. So So all in all, an absolutely fantastic, very, very heavy and well thought out bench. Plenty of storage options with the drawers upon the side here and all the trays that you can use. You can store all your tools in. Everything is at hand whenever you need it. One other feature that I haven't mentioned is that on the bottom rail where the bench peg is, we've got two little blind holes. That is to rest your mandrel whilst you are hammering upon it, one on the left, one on the right hand side. So all in all, a fantastic solid construction, and with the rails along the sides and the back, which stops anything from falling off as well. This bench, although it is moderately priced, it is going to last you an absolute lifetime. An absolute brilliant bench from Durston. My name's Andrew Berry for At The Bench. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.